International Media TV. Television that listens to you.
Hi, I'm Johnnie Burrell. Welcome to the program.
Hello and welcome. My name is Renee Kemp, and as Ms. Varner has already told you, I'm here with the distinct pleasure of interviewing a gentleman whose face I know you recognize. This face has graced small screen and large for a good 30 years.
50.
50 years. Well, I didn't want to admit to more than 30. But the fact is, you literally started in Berkeley. You were born here in Berkeley. You had occasion to star in the Amen Corner. You have been in Die Hard, in School Days, and other films. Your face and your voice are very distinctive, and we are so happy to have you back here in Berkeley. Please help me welcome back to Berkeley, Art Evans. It is such a pleasure to sit with you and to be here as you come full circle. Let's talk first about your roots here in Berkeley.
Well, my father, Alfred Evans, and my mother, Ophelia Evans, she wrote for the Berkeley Daily Gazette, you know, kind of like public interest stories. And my father was a mechanic, and he was very proud of the fact that he was the first black businessman in the city of Berkeley. But, you know, I just found that out, you know, about when I was a teenager. So so we were able to appreciate his longevity, but more importantly, we were able to appreciate the fact that my father and mother kept us well fed and well dressed.
What did they think of the idea of you going into the arts and acting?
Well, they had no objections towards it whatsoever. As a matter of fact, when I started studying, it was San Pablo Park that started it, the physical part, because there was tap dancing there, gymnastics. My sisters took ballet. I took tap. We played football. And it was one of those places where, at that time, Berkeley was the #1 recreational facility in the country. And so we took advantage of that, not knowing it, but we were some of the recipients of that virtue.
And did your parents really think you could make a living? Did they encourage you to make a living as an actor?
No, they encouraged me to do what I wanted to do, and my father he played in the Negro League. And
baseball.
Baseball. So they always encouraged us. I'm from a family of 5 boys and 2 girls. There's so many kids in my family. If you went to sleep at night and you had to get up and go to the bathroom, you'd have to leave a bookmarker to find your place when you got back. But we wanted to be, my sisters, myself, my father could dance, my mother. So in our family, once a month, we'd put on a show where my mother and father would dance, and then I would ham bone, and my other brother would do something, and my sisters would do a ballet, and one would sing, and we do this every month.
And your breakout role was in the Amen Corner. Can you talk about that experience?
Certainly. The Amen Corner, I understudied the role of David in the Amen Corner for a year. And the way I got into the theater there was the late Juanita Moore. Sure, many of you remember she won an Oscar for she nominated for Imitation of Life. I called her up on the phone, just dialed information and talked to her for an hour. I couldn't believe I was talking to her. And she told me about the Frank Silvera Theater being. I went there, and they were doing a play called The Amen Corner. I understudied the role of David for a year, And finally, after a year, I stepped into the role, and it went to Broadway. I'd never seen a play before, but in high school at Berkeley High, I was in talent shows, and in college I was in a talent show, but never a play.
And this was the Frank Silvera Theater of Being in Los Angeles?
Yes.
And then it went from there to Broadway?
It went there to Broadway, and went to the Ethel Barrymore Theater in 1960. We opened on July 1st, 1965.
And this is a James Baldwin work that I know a lot of us studied and are very familiar with, but was there something in particular about this particular play that resonated with you then and that continues to resonate with you today?
Well, I just wanted to be an actor ever since I was 7 years old. I went to the show at the Golden Gate on San Pablo, and I saw a picture called No Way Out starring Sidney Poitier. I'd never heard the word nigger before, and I came home and said to my mother and father, I saw this movie, and my father said, how come you're coming in? My mother said, why are you so late? And I said, I went to the show and I saw this movie, and my father said, she didn't ask you what you saw, she asked you why you came in late. Now my father said something you never hear in a black family. Go to bed without eating dinner. I was happy because I do that before I get a spanking like I thought I was going to get. But I always remembered Sidney Poitier's performance. That's when I knew I wanted to be an actor, when I was 7 years old. And I'm 73 last March 27th, and I'm still trying to be an actor.
Certainly the setting of the Amen Corner is Margaret, Reverend Margaret, she's a very stern minister, preacher, and we all know the Amen Corner. We know this. We're so familiar with this whole idea of church and church folk. So what are you hoping that people get from it that maybe they didn't get from reading the play or reading it or the first time they saw it? What do you hope they get from it by seeing it again in 2015?
I hope they get a sense of social camaraderie. The play reminds me. When I was a kid, I was 23 years old playing an 18-year-old. When I did the play, I always looked younger than and I guess I was just so naive and immature, more naive than anything else. But there is a sense of universality in which an individual has an opportunity to challenge themselves in a family circle, in a religious philosophy. We cover those areas, Margaret, Sister Odessa saying, I ain't got no job, I can't pay for this, I can't pay our rent, or Margaret, you got to stand. So from many different aspects, this play resonates that, and it's not just simply a single a single look at religion, but the scope of life itself within this little nucleus here on the stage in the Amen Corner, justifiably so named by the writer James Baldwin, the Amen Corner.
And the fact that you're actually going from having performed as an actor in the play to being the director of the play, were there things that, as you were acting in the play, you said, now, if I were directing, I would do it this way, or were you self-directing in any way and bringing certain things to bear in your character that you're hoping to pull from the actors in this performance?
Well, that's a very interesting question, provocative, but that never tiptoed across my mind. And now I'm wondering why. I've always had a great affinity with this play because it was the first play I ever saw. But I've done over 150 movies, and I don't know how many plays and TV shows, and I've worked abroad, 12 different countries. But that never really thought of that. That's That's now I'm going to start thinking of that.
Well, and the fact that this is the 50th anniversary of the Black Repertory Theater, and so many of its kind have disappeared from the scene.
That's why I'm here, because I do not want this theater here represents a great deal to me, because so many years ago, I have no problem with indicating years, you know, because of how far back it was and everything, because but this theater represents it represents an emblem that really does battle against the infringible obduracy of this society, to indicate. Sean and I just had a conversation last night about this. Sean is the artistic director and manager of the theater. It's his grandmother started it, and we were just talking about that, how the theater has plays an important part in our lives. There's an honesty about it. There's all the modern technology with all kinds of computers and what have you, cell phones. I remember TV when there was only 2 channels. I remember watching CBS come on the air for the first time. But theater has been here since time immemorial. Theater started in Africa, and it was dancing around a campfire, celebrating a successful hunt, or a new baby being born, or somebody passing away, and that expression. And that's so theater's still here. It's still here. In spite, you know, a lot of things, radio is gone, but theater's still here. And to tell you the truth, actually, I like radio better than I do television, because I got a better picture.
Mental picture. And there are young people here. I'm so grateful to see folks who look to be maybe 8, 9 years old. And like you said, they are accustomed to the technology. But this kind of live theater is very rare nowadays, especially black theater. But where it does exist, it tends to be, just for the sake of comparison, the Tyler Perry type of genre, where you have sort of comedic acting. And I'm wondering if you feel that this kind of serious play, like Amen Corner, does not have the same kind of draw that perhaps those kinds of black performances seem to have nowadays.
Well, I think the Tyler Perry show is a formula type where, you know, it based on religious content, and subliminally suggests that Christian ethic in many ways. But I feel, and I've read 3 characters in one of his biggest readings. It's the most fanciest reading I'd ever gone to, and I've been in a lot of readings for everybody. But he has, I feel that it's kind of limiting in many ways, particularly for our people, to be perfectly frank with you. It's kind of limiting because the storyline is the prefix, root, and suffix is always, it doesn't give a circumference that includes other ethnicities. Why should, you probably say, why should they? Not a lot of other ethnicities select us, use us, but actually they do, because our contribution is far more reaching and ancient than they really are willing to express, to say, admit to.
Well, serious theater, such as the Amen Corner, might be a hard sell for a young audience, don't you think?
Well, I mean, interrupt you, but I think that's a very good point on your part. And even when we did it back there in the 60s, mid-60s, even in the book, when James Baldwin wrote it, took him 8 years to write this play. Even then, his agent said, you should be writing something that is significant for magazines. I mean, who cares about black people and their religious experiences and their families? Well, that same attitude prevails today, regardless of what year it is. That's why it's significant for the people here making this cause for us today to come here to hear what we could possibly say regarding our ethnicity and our contributions that we have made, not only to this country, but to society.
You know, Berkeley is really still very much a hotbed of talent.
Yes.
And so, can you talk about some of the challenges that maybe you faced and what you could say to young upcoming performers and potential directors such as yourself who might be at Berkeley High School even as we speak?
For me to come from where I came from, I went to Longfellow, and that's where my downfall started. I went to Longfellow. That's the downfall. And I resented it ever since, and I'm 73 years old.
Now, what's Longfellow?
It's an elementary school.
Oh, okay.
Here in Berkeley.
You all know Longfellow? Okay.
They, for some reason, a teacher, because it was all white teachers. There were no black teachers. The only black teacher was Miss Acting. Loved Miss Acting. But she put me in a special class. And so I had to go through the embarrassment of being referred to as stupid,
Really?
and none of the kids wanted to play with me. Really? And so I was there from 3rd to the 8th grade, and I just told my mother and father, I said, look, I got to get out. That is not me. I don't want to play checkers all day. So Miss White, a counselor at Burbank Junior High School, they engaged this issue and put me in a regular class. And it was interesting, I was in a regular class, and I remember a girl who'd been in a regular class the whole time, and we were reading, and the girl couldn't read the word such. And I said, they put me in a stupid class, and she can't read the word such. The first year I was out of that kind of a institution, I made the honor roll. All A's and B's. And I remember I was up in the stands at Burbank, and they were saying, Art. I said, I'm not saying anything. And then all of a sudden the counselor, Mr. Shear, said, he turned around and says, Art. I said, I ain't saying nothing, that's Bud. And he says, no. Somebody said, Art, you won. A what? I said, Mr. Sharp, he said, Art, go up and you got a silver certificate. I couldn't believe it. I had to walk down those stairs, down across the gym floor, up under the stage. They give you the hand, left, shake your hand, and then give you I couldn't believe it. And all those kids who teased me all those years when I was going back to my seat, nah.
Well, certainly Berkeley and the Bay Area in general have nurtured a lot of talent, and I'm wondering what's next for you. What comes after Amen Corner?
Well, I'm doing a film in Detroit. I was supposed to do a film in Detroit, and Jefferson's Corridor. I play a trainer, and the best thing about it, I got a chance to pick my own leading lady, and my wife wanted me to pick her.
And did you?
No, we had to sit down and agree to who I was going to pick. But I'm also going to be going to Germany to do another autograph and picture signing convention. I did one in Charlotte, North Carolina while I was here. And then I'm also have another directing. I'm going to direct a film, and we're trying to tack down the locations is one of the hardest things to do at the top. But I'm a little premature talking about that. It's more like wishful fulfillment. Mm-hmm. But I'm happy that they are interested in me and have engaged me, and seriously enough so that I could at least feel confident enough to speak with it and openly and publicly like this.
Do you have a preference between film and theater and acting and directing?
I am an actor from the get, and I'm always going to be an actor. I just happen to be, modesty forbids, but good at all of them. And I have fun doing it. It's a lot of fun. But acting, unlike all the others, when you get out there and you're on the stage and that curtain comes up or those lights come on, there ain't no way you can there's no way you got to know everything, all your lines. You can't go back. Because if you make a mistake, the audience will know 5 seconds after you've done it. I know our haste is real, and perhaps I'm a little bit too loquacious, but you're so provocative I have no other recourse.
I think I just got complimented. Thank you so much, Art Evans. I'm so pleased that you had time to come and talk with us, and we look forward to the performance of Amen Corner, and we are so grateful that we get to witness you coming literally full circle, Berkeley to Berkeley. Ladies and gentlemen, help me thank Art Evans.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wasn't that fantastic? Another round.
Thank you so much.
My name is Daryl Bartlow. I'm from Berkeley. Went to Berkeley High also. Mr. Evans, I would like to know, first of all, you're a great person, man, because a lot of us are from Berkeley here. And we identified with you when you were on the silver screen, and we took a great deal of pride. And seeing you in that status even lifted self-esteem for me personally. And to know you and have dialogued with you over the last couple of years is major big. I guess the question, and that's what I'm here for, is man, what's motivating you to give so much back to the community? What's motivating you to give so much back in terms of your example with the success in your craft, in terms of you bring into the forefront again James Baldwin. I salute you for your humanity. I salute you for your spirituality. But I would just like to maybe hear it from you, sir. What is driving you? What is motivating you? I mean, you could be kicked back on a beach. And here you are, right here in the trenches, trying to enlighten us. Art, and not to do anything with words, but art enlightens the mind, whereas entertainment dulls the mind. And that's what you're in the process of doing, is enlightening us here in this community. And I pray that this community will support you and come here and be present for this, because you're doing a big thing for us. And I would just like to know what's motivating you to do this. Thank you.
Thank you, Darren. It's like I'm from Berkeley, got more relatives out here than a bush rabbit, and we have a history here. And Darryl, for instance, I mean, it's look how successful he is, how wonderful this individual. Every time I come here, he greets me and makes me really feel like I've come home, because I have that kind of affinity with people that I can embrace. For me to get out, not necessarily get out, but to go on, was my mother and father played a very big, important role in that. And it wasn't easy for a 5'7" black, ashy African American with nappy hair to do the things that I did. I wanted to do them. I didn't want that to be the mere fact that those little elements were there. I didn't want them to be a detour or to stop me. My mother and my father encouraged me. They had no idea. I didn't know I was going to be an actor until I was 7. And I didn't tell anybody. I just enjoyed looking at movies, and Sidney Poitier, whom is a very dear personal friend of mine for the past 30 years. And I'm very proud of that relationship with his family. But being here in Berkeley was kind of special. Everywhere I go in the world, I was just over Europe, and I was just relating some experiences with you, but people, they know Berkeley. Since the 60s, Berkeley, in the 1960s, Berkeley's population was 168,000 people. It's one of the most versatile, liberal cities, but of course you know better because you live, with the cities in this country, and everybody in foreign countries, they know Berkeley. I'm in a pub, in England. I'm in a pub in the bloke says, where are you from, mate? I says, I'm from America. What part of America you from? I'm from the West Coast. What part of West Coast are you from, mate? Okay, I'm from Berkeley. Berkeley, blokes from Berkeley, you know. Berkeley is known all over the world. I'm sure when a lot of you have traveled, you can attest to that. They know Berkeley. Since '68, we've somehow, through that resurrection of the new, doing battle against the infringible obduracy of our society towards us as black people, and we're making these kind of causes, not only just us as black people, but other ethnicities have joined in to help establish justice for people, whether they're from black, white, Berkeley, or Oakland, or anywhere else. But for some reason, Berkeley has been a leader in that, as they have in many other instances, and we have a wonderful legacy to keep up. And they know us all over the world.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Jacques
Sandra.
Telfair.
Thank you, Sandra. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. And good to see you, Mr. Art Evans. I see you at all the great events when I'm down in L.A. And I'm Jacques Telfair with Fly Hits Media. I just want to say that, Renee, you did such a thorough job, that you took all my questions away. So I was scrambling up here to try to get questions. But one is, for the young actors that are coming up, which was kind of your answer to, what would you suggest they do as far as like getting into the business, training before, et cetera, et cetera? That's one. Also, you know, I come out of a stage background too, and
right on.
you know, it's an adjustment, adjusting to film and television, because they stop. Like you said, in a play, it starts and you go straight to it until, you know, intermission.
Ain't no cut.
Yeah, no cut. And then after the intermission, you come in and finish it. So I would like to know about that. But something that really touched me that you said, and that's about being put in special ed. Because I was put in special ed too, and I hated it just like you. I hated it, couldn't stand it. And when I started going out for auditions, I didn't know this at the time, but I had dyslexia. So it was very difficult to read, and then, you know, in auditions. And one time I was coming out, and I started a conversation with Danny Glover, and he has dyslexia too. And Danny said what he did was he would go in and he would get the script early, and he would read it all and then remember it. And then when he went back into the audition, he would pretend like he was reading it, but he was actually, you know, had memorized it. And that helped me immensely. So I've just, something has got to be done about our kids and being tossed in special ed, because that's just crazy. So I don't know if you even remember the first two questions that I asked you about youth getting into the business and how you prepare for, you know, film as opposed to television, et cetera, coming out of a theater background.
Well, the way I prepare is I've done that too. Not because I was dyslexic, but I would do that as well, because I take great pride in the fact of auditioning. And there's so many dynamics to that question and experiences that I could share with you. And I'm very anxious to do that, but because of my anxiousness, I'd be dyslexic. I mean, I'd be dyslexic in remembering them in a sequential order. But learning a script, I remember one time I had the audition, and I had a page of dialogue, a page and a half of dialogue to commit to memory. And when I got there, it was Die Hard 2, and I had all this dialogue, and it cost $60 million. This scene, if we lost a day, that's $35,000 just for that scene.
No pressure.
So they gave me the sides, and I had them all memorized. And then right when I was getting ready to shoot, they brought me another page with that dialogue, and the new page with the dialogue interspersed between the lines. And that's $35,000 for that particular set a day. And I couldn't complain because they were paying me well, you know. So they challenged me as an actor. And I remember once I was doing a TV show, and this one actor, he had the same situation where he thought he had 4 lines to memorize, and he had a page, and he had 45 minutes himself to commit it to memory. And I watched him while everybody else was fooling around. I didn't disturb him. I just watched him. And I said, I know that will probably happen to me someday, and if it does. So I had to spend that time learning it, and it took me 35 minutes, but I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't make contact with anybody because you have to stay focused. Because when they say action, that's what they mean. And you can't make a mistake. You can make one, but I was always, have a reputation, I'm a 2 for 1. 2 shots to get 1. That's pretty good, because some people are 9 to 1, and that's wasting time. And so I work on my, I can memorize Shakespearean dialogue faster than I can contemporary. I can commit 8 pages of Shakespearean writing to memory in 35, 40 minutes. But I have to be walking when I do it. But contemporary dialogue, I just sit down and do it.
Was your scene with Bruce Willis?
Pardon?
The scene, you said the Die Hard scene?
Yeah.
Was it with Bruce Willis?
It was, Bruce Willis was the star of that movie, yeah. But the scene that I had to commit to use the dialogue in was not with Bruce Willis. It was another scene where they chopped it up eventually to where it was put in different places.
All right.
I'm not quite sure of the other questions, but I have a tendency to be really talkative because I'm kind of nervous.
Well, the other question was a young person getting into the business. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Use the mic, please.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Evans.
Good morning.
I'm a longtime admirer of your work. Glory being one of my favorite movies. The Amen Corner being revisited, or you're directing it, what do you want your audience to take away from the Amen Corner in 2015? And how do we reach the masses for you and getting them to come to see the Amen Corner?
There's a communication that goes beyond the realm of words, and that's just, we don't even need words to be able to communicate.
Okay.
And when you do use words to communicate to somebody, we don't have to, it just comes from our heart. And we're not begging, we're offering.
Yes.
And we're offering entertainment. There is James Baldwin, this is his first play, and look how long it's lasted. Blues for Mr. Charlie didn't last this long, and all the adverse problems that Amen Corner had, it's being done in 14 theaters across the country today.
Yes.
Right now. So I want the audience to a sense of universality, of unity. And this is not necessarily just about our ethnicity or our shortcomings or our triumphs. You know, it's everybody's triumphs.
Yes.
And that's what I want them to come here and take from them. But of course, I want this theater here to be the pivotal point for people to have come and recognize the contributions that African Americans have made, from corroboree, which is the first theater where they just round the campfires, to sophisticated and modern theater that we have here. A lot of people don't understand what this. When I saw this stage for the first time, I said, "What?" 'Cause I started in the Amen Corner when it was first done. It was only done in not even half this space. Mm-hmm. Not even half this space. And we broke so many records in Los Angeles, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, that people were lined up around the blocks, literally down the block, for a 75-seat house. It was an equity waiver house. So if it's 75 seats or less, that's all we had. And we had more people standing in line to get in, hoping they would get tickets, than we had seats to accommodate. And that was every night. Why? Because of that element that African Americans have within their hearts. And we have to be aware of the fact that, I forgot I'm hitting this guy's microphone. He's probably saying, "Ooh." But I hope that I was able to answer that question.
Yes, you did. And I think we saw the Amen Corner in Oakland at the very small theater on Alice Street.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jackie Wright. I'm with Wright Enterprises, and I must say also, like Jock said, you've done a masterful job, Renee, of interviewing. And I'm so glad to know that Johnnie Burrell of International TV is recording this, because my question to you is in alignment with the issue of media. So often we hear in the media that we have no role models. But as the gentleman said earlier, that you give so much back to the community, the fact that you're here directing, obviously there are role models. You're an actor, you're a director, you've done great things. How do we get the message to our young people so they don't try to reinvent the wheel, that we do have role models in our community that they can pull from? Thank you.
Thank you. That is, I mean, I have to go to night school just to learn how to turn on and off my cell phone. So, but to try to get youngsters nowadays away from an electronic device, that's a very interesting problem. How do we get them to do that? I earlier alluded to the fact that theater has outlasted a lot of this. It's still here because there's an organic thing involved with theater. It's organic. It's like I've directed films and I'm sitting up there watching it when I really have good actors, and then all of a sudden the film has, the scene has exhausted itself, and my AD's looking at me, cut, because it was that involving. For me, the idea of acting was involved in go to the show and look at movies, and it was very much involved me to see a comedic person on screen and a comedian, and they engage us. There's a way that we have to develop that communication with them so that they can understand the importance of organic relations with education, and because they're going to do what the parents. I mean, I'm a parent. I delivered both my boys, and I was always wanting my sons to do this and do that. And then I decided that, why? I'm not going to force him to be right-handed if he's left-handed. I'm going to direct him as best I can with my own actions, and perhaps maybe my sons don't even, they just realize they're in their 20s and 30s, and they just realizing that I'm an actor. They didn't even, and that's good. That's very good. But my wife and I allowed them to be able to create their own fortune and make causes for other people, not just themselves, but make causes for other people. They're very magnanimous young boys, and even though I speak so highly of them, they have their shortcomings, as all kids do, our kids do. But I'm very proud of their efforts, and hopefully they will be proud of my efforts. And I let them explore. I really tried very hard to keep them from just being in front of the TV, playing games or having it. And then I looked at myself, because when the football season comes, when the football season, and yes, I am an Oakland Raider fan, and my wife. And you can't come to my house. I'm a fan. The word fan comes from short for fanatic. But yeah, I am a fanatic, but I don't have all this stuff all over my house. But I try to encourage them to be a little bit more open to read Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, just books that I read when I was a kid. And if I can get them to read a book, I'm ahead of the game.
I want to thank you, Art Evans. You have a way of bringing out the best of an individual that may want to give up. You're doing a great job with the actors here every night. Just want to thank you. I'm R.J. Reed. I have the largest black adventure show in California. I just want to say that. And also, thank you for letting me be your driver.
Closing round of applause, please.